According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal target Xavi Simons has informed Paris Saint-Germain formally about his plan to leave the club this summer. A key detail, it will be a loan deal until June 2025. As mentioned since April, Bayern and RB Leipzig are also pushing to sign Xavi Simons, and the decision is expected right after the Euros. Arsenal are also interested in signing Eberechi Eze. We have new information on the deal. Arsenal are really big admirers of the player, and the player would also love to play at Arsenal. Tottenham are leading that race, but of course, if Arsenal step in, Eberechi Eze could give priority to Arsenal over Tottenham. We'll talk about Conor Gallagher as well. Arsenal have looked at him, his profile, and they would love to give it a try. Of course, he's for sale this summer. So we're talking about Gallagher, Eze, and Xavi Simons in this video. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Let me know what do you think about Conor Gallagher to Arsenal. I've seen a few people really rejecting him, like they don't want him. What do you think about Eberechi Eze to Arsenal? Eze is a very interesting one, because again, he can play as a 10. He can also play as a number 8. Very progressive player. And what about Xavi Simons? Again, Xavi Simons is playing as part of a front 3 at Netherlands. He's also playing as part of a front 3 at RB Leipzig, but we could also see him as a midfielder. So I want your thoughts and opinions about all these players. Let's start off with that big one on Xavi Simons, who has made his final decision not to stay at Paris Saint-Germain. That is what we've been waiting for, and it's an exclusive from Fabrizio confirming that the player has formally told his club that he's going to be leaving this summer, and Paris Saint-Germain don't want to sell before June 2025, as mentioned earlier on. Both Leipzig and Bayern are very much interested, and Arsenal is also there trying to scout Xavi Simons and see whether we can actually lure him to the Premier League. Now, for me, Xavi Simons is a player that is wanted by big clubs. Leipzig is the smallest club that wants Xavi Simons. When you think about all the other clubs that are interested in him, Man United, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, even Paris Saint-Germain themselves, I bet they would love to keep if they didn't have so many players and talent with their hands in those areas, likes of Dembele, Bakola, Zai Emery, and a couple of others. I think it's a very interesting deal that Arsenal could get. A loan deal for a player like Xavi Simons, it's crazy. And this is a crazy market. This is a market where we're going to see a lot of things determined by PSR and FFP, and that is one of them. Xavi Simons available on a loan deal. That is one of the craziest things we're going to see in this summer. And again, for me, I would say one thing or two. If I am Arsenal, I am definitely going into that deal. I'm definitely trying to sign Xavi Simons. A bit of a similar deal with what Arsenal did with Martin Odegaard. We got him on loan from Real Madrid. That was in 2021 January, and then we signed him in the summer of 2021, if I'm not mistaken. He's played 2 full seasons at Arsenal right now. So for me, that is very similar to what we should do with Xavi Simons. Go and get him in on loan and try to see where he plays. I mean, we might not get Nico Williams. It's a difficult deal. He wants to play for Barcelona. He wants crazy wages of around 200,000 per week and things like that. Simons on loan is a very good deal for Arsenal to experiment what we would be getting with Xavi Simons, how he would actually work out, where we will play with him, and how we would set up with him. And then in the future, that is almost a year later, if Arsenal establish that he is the kind of player we want, he's the kind of profile Mikel really likes, definitely, we sign him on a permanent. And of course, I've had that Bayern are looking to do a deal with an obligation to buy. I wouldn't really mind that. I wouldn't really mind Arsenal taking him out on a loan deal with an obligation to buy for 60 million euros. He's an interesting player. He's an incredible player. And the deal, now that we know that Arsenal don't want to, buy a lot of players for a lot of money, they just want to do, a few good deals for good money. I think Xavi Simons is the whole characteristic of a good deal, small money, good player, and everything in there. Now, where do I see him go? I won't be surprised to see Xavi Simons end up at RB Leipzig, and this will be courtesy of Paris Saint-Germain. Also, courtesy of the player as well. We are talking about a player who has enjoyed life in Leipzig. We're talking about a player who has had a very good spell at RB Leipzig. And also, when you think about Paris Saint-Germain, they might want to send him out to Leipzig for another loan deal and then eventually get him back in 2025 and sell or resell. The disadvantage with selling him right now, or with sending him out on loan with a buy option or release clause, is that they will not be able to get the right amount of money they could get from Xavi Simons in 2025. So I see him go to RB Leipzig, Paris Saint-Germain saying, you know what, let's give him to RB Leipzig for 1 season. If his value increases from 60 to 80 million euros, we'll be able to make some big amount of money on Xavi Simons' sale. So interesting stuff. But again, I also see Arsenal busy there. I also see Arsenal put their feet in that deal and saying, hey, Xavi Simons, come over to Arsenal. I think as a player, he's played for mediocre too much, right? He's played for mediocre too much. PSV, mediocre. RB Leipzig, I would say top mediocre, right? I think RB Leipzig would be valued at the same level as Arsene Wenger's Arsenal when we used to finish in the top 4 all the time. You never expect them to win the title. You just expect them to make Champions League. So I think as a player, he would love to make that big switch. Bayern Munich, he would love to make that, Arsenal switch. And with Bayern now taking Olise, they already have Musiala. You never know. He might look at that project and say, I'm looking at so many players in front of me. At Arsenal, definitely have a couple of players in front of you, but I don't think it is competition you can't beat. Musiala, you're not beating Musiala to a start at Germany. Bayern, which is the same as Germany, national football really, when you think about the German national team and Bayern, what's the difference? So I think Musiala is ahead of Xavi Simons. At Arsenal, Trossard and Martinelli would also be ahead, but in that midfield area, could we find a way of playing Xavi Simons, Declan Rice, and Martin Odegaard in some games? I can definitely see that happen. Of course, with Mikel Arteta trying to expand his pool of players from 14 to around 17 players that he can trust on every weekly basis, I see Xavi Simons as a player that just comes in and sneaks into that group of favorites that we have at Arsenal. So I want your thoughts there on Xavi Simons. He has made his decision, final decision. He's going to be leaving, and Arsenal can open their arms. Leipzig are opening their arms. Bayern are opening their arms, and a decision should be coming in after the Euros. I'll be very eager to see what goes down here, because this is a deal that even wages might not matter, even the transfer fee might not matter at the moment. It's about convincing the player, getting him on loan, and dealing with the rest later. Now, we have a release clause we've got to work with, and that is for Eberechi Eze. According to Team News Antics, I have been told by 2 unconnected people around Arsenal that Arsenal are looking at Eberechi Eze. I know lots of people at the club like him. Eze has a very good and affordable release clause, around £60 million, but a large amount of that clause has to be paid up front. I see what you've done there, Crystal Palace. I see what you've done. Now, this is one of my best opinions on YouTube this week. Comes in from Mr. DT, who says, signing Eze would solve a lot of issues. He can play left-sided 8 and 10 positions, whilst allowing Odegaard to play and build up from deep. He is comfortable on the ball too, direct and brilliant in pockets. I also think Martinelli would benefit from someone like Eze next to him because of how they would rotate. With there being a release clause, it makes a lot of sense. What are your thoughts on this one? So let us know. What are your thoughts on Eberechi Eze's deal? More information on this deal revealed by FC Mex, confirming there that Tottenham have begun negotiations with Eberechi Eze's representatives, but if Arsenal decides to join the race, we will have an advantage and immediately surpass them, because Eze wants to come to Arsenal, and that is where we stand today. Obviously, a deal is very far away from being struck, and therefore it is not a confirmed done deal, please. Okay, so Eberechi Eze, lots of information for us to dive into, but the key important details here: a release clause. Couple of people like him at Arsenal, inside Arsenal, And then Arsenal looking for a midfielder this summer, and he would love to play for us. I think those are the 4 bits of information that I'm really interested in. So with Eze, Arsenal are going to let go of some English players. There's no question about that. Ramsdale, Nelson, Nketiah, and probably Emil Smith-Rowe. The question I would have to ask here, would you let go of Emil Smith-Rowe to sign Eberechi Eze? This is, listen to me, my answer there is a strong, strong no. Because one, we are not going to get more money for ESR than we would get for Eberechi Eze. But I guarantee you this, we can get more quality from ESR than we can get from Eberechi Eze. Now, I can look at ESR as a player right now who is not directly into that influential pocket of players, that influential group of players that Mikel Arteta is looking to give a lot of game time. And that could be one of the reasons why Arsenal might inevitably have to let ESR go. But if there is a chance for us to keep ESR, right, don't get me wrong, I would move him on. But not for Eberechi Eze. I would move on ESR to get Xavi Simons. Am I crazy? I am not. I'm looking at those 2 players and I'm like, ESR, Xavi Simons have a lot in common, especially in terms of the areas in which they want to play, but also in terms of quality. For me, Eze is a very good player. But I kind of feel like there is an added layer of hype on Eze. I mean, if Glenn sees me doing this video, he's absolutely going to shake his head like, this boy doesn't know what he's talking about. But there is an added layer to Eze. I don't think he is in that Phil Foden bracket. I don't think he's in that Declan Rice bracket. I don't think he's as good, right, as people want to tell us. Now, is he good? Definitely he is good, right? Do I see him fit at Arsenal? I mean, he can play in that 8th position, and he would give you a different option when you play Declan Rice at the heart of the midfield. He can give you a different option because he's an attacking player, and his work rate is also very good. So I see him fitting at Arsenal. But so does ESR. ESR is also good, and if Mikel Arteta worked with him, like, again, we saw against Luton, we can have a very good player in Emil Smith-Rowe. So I am not 100% sure that Arsenal should delete Emil Smith-Rowe and just bring in Eberechi Eze. Now, in terms of the deal, if Eze comes in, we've got to go of ESR. We've got to let go of ESR and Fabio Vieira. It doesn't make any sense to you have Vieira and ESR, you don't play them, but then you bring in Eberechi Eze. £60 million. Much of that has to be paid up front. Why am I not convinced about this, right? Yes, Arsenal like him. Why am I not convinced about the £60 million deal? I still think that Arsenal could improve Fabio Vieira. Arsenal could improve ESR. And we don't need Eberechi Eze. And we have our own homegrown player in ESR. So for me, Eberechi Eze is a deal I'll do if Arsenal were to pay 40 million. If Arsenal were to pay 45 million for Eze, yeah, that's a deal I'll do. But 50, 55, 60 million, why am I not convinced about it? Tell me, guys, why am I not convinced about Eze? Why am I? And again, is he among the priorities that Arsenal need? No. Is he among the players that would come and massively change this Arsenal side? No. Xavi Simons on the other side, I think we can see a bit of a stretch in quality, same as Nico Williams, same as players like Victor Gyökeres. So for me, with Eze, I'll take him for 40, 45 million. I'll take him at Arsenal if it is full squad and Arsenal just looking to add players for luxury, like the way Man City added Matthias Nunes. Yeah, I'll take him like that kind of signing. But at this period of time when Arsenal need a second goalkeeper, left back, number 6, number 8, left winger, right winger, we also need a striker. Eze, among my top signings? Definitely not. Yeah, definitely not. But I like him, right? Don't get me wrong. I like him. Now, Arsenal appreciate Conor Gallagher. And this is a player that I appreciate too. Is he crazy? I am not crazy. Listen to me. Now, Conor Gallagher is one of those players that people might not appreciate because they don't understand his game. And people may not appreciate him because, you know, every pundit and every media outlet speaks nonsense, absolutely publishes nonsense about Conor Gallagher. But for me, when I think about Gallagher, I think about reliable, durable, hardworking, athletic, work rate, and ball winning. Can you control the midfield with Conor Gallagher? You can. Now, just like Amadou Onana, Gallagher's game in possession has to be massively improved. Both of them out of possession, they're crazy players. Like, not in terms of winning the ball back, but in terms of running, winning, trying to, close down spaces, close down players, covering a lot of ground. They're impeccable players. So if you can develop their their in-possession game, wow, you'd have a player there in Conor Gallagher. Would I take Gallagher at Arsenal? Only if Mikel Arteta believes that he can get a Declan Rice, a Thomas Partey out of Gallagher. But if we are looking at Onana, I'm not surprised that we are also looking at Conor Gallagher, because those two, there is some similarities in there. So talk to me. Conor Gallagher, Eze, Xavi Simons, what would you do?